They're always fun. Every one of these is fun. Yeah.
Of course they
So
are.
happy first day of winter. It's so nice to be here. Welcome, Carmel.
Thanks very much, Aveline. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. Well, this is one of my favourite times of the week when I get to have another conversation with another amazing person. And today it is you on the first day of June. So I'm so looking forward to this. Let's get into it, right? I want to get to know you, and our listeners do as well.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us whereabouts in the world are you?
Thank you. I'm located in Ballarat, Victoria, in Australia. So it's certainly the first day of winter here. But hopefully with this call, we can all bring a little bit of warmth to the day.
Absolutely. And tell me who do you serve and how do you serve them?
Who do we serve? So we serve anybody that's got people. So we're often described as your one-stop people shop. So obviously work with business owners is who we serve, and in all industries. And how we serve them is through, we have 8 pillars of our business. So we offer human resources, and we work a lot in industrial relations, in payroll, recruitment, physical and mental health safety, professional development and upskilling of the team, resumes and careers, and then also through quality systems.
Wow, that's busy. And I know that you're going to get more into that as the conversation unfolds. And it's such a big area because, life, we're all about people, right? We serve people, we hire people, we are people, people is everything. Quick question, what do you like doing when you're not busy serving others?
Right, well, that's always a difficult one when someone asks me that. I'm normally still working. However, when I do take the break, what I really do love is to walk with my dogs, is what I really love to do, and travel. Haven't got back into the travel scene quite yet, but looking forward to it when I get the bug back.
Yeah, nice. And walking the dogs, is that like your happy time, quiet space, zoning out?
Very much so. I think probably too, to be honest, as I think because I've got a little bit older, it happens to the best of us, that I've learnt to appreciate nature a lot more, and the connection. We live on a property, so there's a lot of land around us. So I really find the walking, the way I describe it, and I describe it to my team, is it balances my head, is why I do it.
Yeah.
It just helps because I'm thinking all of the time. So I find that when I walk, it just balances my head. So it really helps me. That's probably my mental health activity.
And how is that a daily thing that you do?
Yes. Very much so. It's treadmill every morning. I do like to do that because I can walk at my pace, which is fast. I've got to keep up with my mind. And then the other walking is then with the dogs. But then when they do stop and sniff and muck around as they do, then that's okay because that's their walk. So I think that's probably the fairest way to do it.
Nice. I love it. I love that so much. And yeah, nature is, well, we're part of nature really. And it sounds like you live in nature, lucky you. And I think the more that we can all embrace that and understand how it calms us. And there's, so many podcasts and books and lots of research on this and how we are connected in all the different ways. But it's there for us. I think we've kind of forgotten it in our fast-paced world over the years. But more and more, like you
Totally
said,
agree.
as we get older, we have, I think a lot of us have reconnected to that, or some have never lost the connection.
Yeah, I just don't. I think probably being more surrounded by it, I just appreciate it more, and And as you say, we're all so busy, everything's so fast, and it's just a good way to slow things down.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get into the story of Carmel Brown, shall we? I would love to learn a bit about your journey, Carmel, and what has brought you to where you are today. So would you like to share with us, the journey that's brought you to today?
Sure. Yep, I can do that, Aveline. Thank you. So the journey started about 12 and a half years ago. And the journey, as I described before, there are 8 pillars of the business. And when the journey started, it started by writing resumes at home from the kitchen bench. So with the resume writing at that stage, there were 2 in the business, and that was my sister and I. Since then, she has moved on, remarried, changed career paths and working paths. So at that stage, there was the 2 of us in the business. And probably about 3 years after we started writing resumes, we started the recruitment arm of the business. And the reason we did that is, and when I quite often tell this story, I always use Bob and Betty as my people examples. So all day, every day, we'd meet great candidates and writing their resumes. And when you're writing somebody's resume, you are informally interviewing them along the way. There was one particular day I met a graduate accountant, and I could see why he wasn't getting noticed through the system, because his resume was horrible, but that's okay. He was really good with numbers, but just not very good with words. And I'm actually quite the opposite, so that's probably why we got along so well and I was able to write for him. But there was just something about him. So I'm connected to a lot of accountants. So I thought I'm just going to ring one accountant in particular that's normally very open to meeting and speaking to people. And I said to him, you probably don't even have a position available at the moment. I said, but I've just met, we'll call them Bob and Betty. I've just met Betty, and I just think they would be, a great addition to your team. Don't know whether you're hiring. So Bob said, oh, that's okay. I'll have a chat with him, which I knew he would. They met. There wasn't a position advertised. They didn't have a position available, but he created one because he could see what I could see. So from that moment was like, oh, wow, how cool is that? Wouldn't it be great if you could introduce Bob to Betty every day? And without the introduction, it was like, how long would then it have taken? So that was a bit of a light bulb moment. And that, to be quite honest now, to this day, is still my why in everything that I do in the business, although my role has changed. So from there, I joined like a large networking group, and the reason I did, because the word recruitment is so tarnished. So I thought I need, especially in Ballarat and other places, need to know that I'm the person behind the business and that it's a different type of recruitment that we do. So that pillar of the business also too then became very popular and still very successful to this day because we were recruiting differently. So then it was, so still 2 of us in the business at that stage. And then it was about 3 years again on from that, kept getting asked a lot of HR questions. So policies, procedures, employment contracts. That was then becoming out of my depth. Also too, I was really, working 7 days a week and couldn't fit any more in anyway, even if I knew how to do all of that. So I approached Belinda Fife. I knew Belinda from the networking group that I joined, and she was very reputable HR. And I thought, I'm going to ask you if you'd like to partner with me, I thought, because I need your expertise. So I had my little spiel, my pitch all ready to go, organised a coffee with her. We met for a coffee. I thanked her for her time and started to say, thanks for your time meeting with me today. I was just wondering if you would like to partner with me. And then I was about to go into my pitch that I prepared. And she said, yes. I said, oh, great. Fantastic. She said, you prepared a little speech, didn't you? I said, yes, I did. And she said, well, you can still say it if you like, but I'm still going to say yes. I said, okay. I said, I'll say it just for the sake of it. But then it was probably just the way then she said to me, she said, why would I say no to somebody that's going to fill my diary for me and bring in all the work and I've just got to do the work? And I thought, That's probably the time about it. So Belinda joined, and it wasn't very long before I was filling her diary 7 days a week. She did make comment that a lot of people have offered to work with her in the past and fill her diary, but no one had ever succeeded. And she admitted that she thought that I was going to be one of those as well. But I said to her from that moment, anything I do say is what I will do. So just note that. So then pre-COVID, we did hire another HR strategist, and that Kate. So she actually comes with HR and safety. So we're very lucky to have her. Very rarely you'll get a HR strategist with both. And the reason I'm explaining it this way is because this is how the pillars grow. So of course, with Kate having safety, we were then able to offer physical safety. So then, of course, the wonderful COVID hit. There's 4 on the team. From there, we did have another senior HR strategist approach us, senior HR former Blackmores. Once again, extremely good at what she does, but had trouble filling her diary. And that's what tends to happen, and that's the type of collaboration we have attracted since. So Linda joined the team. Very quickly, we had her diary full for 12 months and now still ongoing. But then I will say there's been an explosion right to this day. That's probably the only word I can use. There's now a team of, the last count was 48, but I think after a couple of conversations we've already had this week, it's going to it's fairly skip up to about 52 on the team. So the way we've grown so quickly is because COVID, when I say that, that was a good thing for our business, because HR strategists were sought and looked upon like an accountant. Everyone was phoning us like their accountant. There was no textbook to look at. What do we do? How do we stand down staff? How do you do it legally? There's so much going on. We didn't know the answer, but all we could do is use our skill and experience. So then Beck joined us as well, and Beck comes from the industrial relations background. She's one of the top negotiators in Victoria, so we're very lucky to have her, hence the industrial relations arm of the business. And no one fights her for that role, because she loves to headbutt the unions and do all the negotiations, and the others are like, that's okay, you can do that. So with the explosion in the business, that came about from our trainers. We now have over 35 trainers on the team. Last year, we were approached by the Franchise Council of Australia to become one of their preferred training providers for franchise owners around the country. And to become preferred training providers with the FCA, you'll hear me say that, which is an acronym for Franchise Council of Australia, to become preferred training providers for the CFE, which is their Certified Franchise Executive Program. So at that stage, we said, yep, that would be great. Now this is going to air. If anyone from the FCA is listening to me now, you'll actually learn a real secret, because at that stage we had one trainer. We said, yep, sure, we'll do that. So even though we are a recruitment company, we have not recruited anybody ourselves. We've grown organically. So through networks is how we started to build the training arm. The Proven Group is built on a collaborative model. So we have a handful of employees, and then the rest of the team are subcontractors and contractors who are all extremely good and skilled and experienced at what they do, but what they're not very good at is filling their own diaries. So that's where I come into it. When I mentioned before, that's how my diary has changed. As a little bit of an internal joke, the Proven Group, they call me Carmel the Connector. And the reason that they do, because that's what I love to do. And I discovered that why back when with the resume and recruitment clients. And that's what makes me really happy. That's what keeps my cup full, is being able to I just meet and talk to people literally worldwide, because we are international HR partners as well. So I've got the ability to have connections literally all around the world and be able to connect people, whether that's directly, whether we can help them or not, I'll know someone that can. So with the Franchise Council of Australia as well, we thought, after we started to build the trainers in lots of different areas, we thought we'd better just pop together like a little catalogue or a little flyer or a brochure just to let them know what sort of training that we do. So that one has, in particular, I brought it with me today to show you. It turned into a 300-page catalogue with 35 trainers and over 160 courses. So this is what the brochure turned into. So it's been a really major project for us, so much so that it does have its own logo and it's got its own business name, Practical Professional Development. It's powered by the Proven Group, but because it's such a large part of what we do now, as I said, it is its own business. It's all about learning, inspiring, and taking action in what you do. And really importantly, it's actionable learning. We do not do any learning without it being actioned. And there's even follow-up coaching sessions to make sure that participants are following up on their learning. And that's in particular in relation to our signature program. So the catalogue now is made up of 8 faculties. So we've got leadership and management, as I mentioned, that's our signature program, human resources, communication, productivity, career development, personal development, business growth, and the big one, as I said before, we do a lot of physical safety. We're also a lot of courses in there for wellness, workplace wellbeing. So we have Lou, who's a qualified counsellor, who's on our team. We also have the wellness part of the catalogue is really quite large, because what that also attracted as well is that in that inclusivity, the neurodiversity, the ADHD in adults, all that stuff that's only just being talked about now. So as I said, we've got over 160 courses, 35 trainers, 300-page catalogue. We will have a digital copy as well on our website. And then I probably might be cheeky enough to say that those out there that have seen the AIM catalogue, it's digital catalogue, it's a great catalogue. We get a lot of feedback that it's really good. But me being me, for me, good is the enemy of great. So that is our ambition, is to be great in the training space. And then probably to finish up, trying to remember everything in the business. As I say, of course, we've got the resumes and careers that are still very successful. Do a lot of careers workshops, work with those 14 to 17-year-olds, return to work parents, redundancies, those that even haven't returned to work with mental health from COVID. We run workshops and assist those people as well. And you would have heard me say before that we are international HR partners. We are in particular with the UK. So we have Tim and Paul over there, and they do HR and safety in the UK. And how the relationship works is that when they've got their clients that have staff here in Australia, we look after them, and then vice versa. And that relationship, when I say it's a beautiful thing, because I have a client in Geelong and her head office is here, but she has a lot of staff in the UK and the US. We don't know their law, so I was able to refer them to Tim and Paul to help with the UK. And then what happened from that as well, they have connections with the US. So from there now we've been able to piggy back with them and go along with them still as their partner and have access to the UK, the US, Germany, Austria, Chile, Spain, and Denmark. So that is a real nutshell of what the last 12 and a half years looks like. And I don't think I've forgotten anything.
Wow, Carmel, when you said before that you work 7 days a week, I was like, yeah, that's full on. But now you're talking, I'm like, how do you even sleep? Oh my gosh, like what an amazing ride. Yeah. And you're doing so much for so many people, and just this explosion of, like you said, your pillars, right? And the training as well. It's massive, really big. And you're leading this, right? So what do you do today? What's now the thing that fills your calendar and your diary today in the proven group?
Yeah. What I spend a lot of my time doing is building relationships. That's what I'm all about. To the extent that, if somebody wants to, everyone wants to know a price of something or just send me through a proposal. But I'm not about that. I actually like to meet with the person, whether it's face-to-face on Zoom, get to actually talk to them, say hello, introduce myself. Because quite often what I find is they come to me with a pain point, and by the time I've had a conversation with them and I've actually dug down, pulled everything out, unpacked their problems, they're like, wow, I actually didn't know that was the problem. And apart from that, they don't quite often realise the depth of the problem. So by being able to build the relationship, build the trust, have a conversation, unpack their problems, then if they're open to, then I can step them through our process of how it all works. I can address their initial pain point, hypothetically, because the number one is always recruitment and staff retention. So I can address that, but then, as I say, by the time I've unpacked all their other problems that they didn't even know that they had, and even when they don't know they've had the problem, they don't even know the financial impact it's having on their business, then quite often what will happen is a client will partner or come and join us, and they'll become what we call a retainer client. We don't have any lock-in contracts. We don't lock people in. We become their phone a friend. We do as much or as little for them as what they would like. So they can work with us on an ad hoc basis, or, as I say, most of our clients now are retainer clients. So therefore, with the 8 pillars of the business, we're able to fully service them, and it flattens out their cash flow. So there's not all the peaks and troughs of all the invoices. So by building the relationships, and someone said to me a few months ago, because he's joined the team as well, and he said, "You're exactly who I've been looking for." And I said, "Oh, why is that?" He said, "Because," he said, "I've been watching you." I said, "Oh, okay." And he said, "You're like the vehicle. You drive the vehicle. So everybody gets on," he said, "probably a bus, but I think probably now you drive a 747 jumbo or something." I said, "Nearly." He said, "But you drive the vehicle and I feel the team's diaries is what I do. So I go out, make the relationships, get the work, pass it on, and then I keep moving on." I've got coordinators in each of the pods we call in the business. So each of the pillars has a coordinator. They do not manage the team. We're all adults, don't manage the team, don't need to, just manage the workflow. And on that as well, probably with our organisational chart, just while I remember to say it, we actually don't have one. We're a HR firm and we don't want one. But what we do have is we have inclusive pods is what we have. So you have myself and Belinda, who's my CEO, in the middle, and then coming out from each of us is a circle of all the pods. So we're all same, all connected.
Thank you for describing that structure or lack of structure. Very organic and natural. And I'm really interested to hear how that structure has benefited you and how different it's been to, say, a more traditional structure in another organization that might have been the similar size or gone through the same growth cycle that you have.
Yeah. Definitely what it has created for us is, I can never find the right word because incredible doesn't even seem strong enough. But what it has created is just an incredible culture is what it's created, because everybody feels included. It doesn't matter whether, like, I'm the director and then you've got, for example, somebody that does the cleaning. Because at the end of the day, and I heard Belinda tells this story quite often, and she uses it from a story she heard from a group of people that went to NASA. And they're walking through and, they're going to the next bit and there's a guy there mopping the floor. And they said to him, "Oh, what do you do here?" And instead of expecting the answer that he's a cleaner, he actually said, I actually help put people on the moon. Because regardless of your position in an organisation, you're all going towards the same goal. So that's what we create. So it's through our vision and it's through our overarching philosophy that we have. Our overarching philosophy is 3 words. These 3 words were created by the team. Last year we all got together. We went and had a high tea. Lots of butcher's paper, all broke up into groups. What do you think of this? And like we spoke about the values, the vision. And long story short, we all come back together. And the 3 words as the overarching philosophy of the Proven Group is where everybody wins. So that philosophy is how we make decisions every day. That is, and it's based on how everybody wins, the team, the client, us, their team, because if everybody doesn't win, it's not going to work. So we either make it that everybody wins, or that helps us make the decision that we're not going to take on that project. And we've also just been recently, it's not really announced yet, but I might as well announce it now. We've also just been recently accredited as a great place to work. So we've achieved that accreditation, and that is through the culture surveys that we've achieved from the team. And we normally, thank you. So the team, the last culture survey that we was 96%. So we were pretty happy with that. So I feel that with the collaborative approach and the inclusiveness of the whole team, that's how we're able to create the culture that we've got. Hence why we're growing organically, because I do get a lot of calls. I've got a couple of meetings next week for those that are hearing about what we're doing. They want to come and play, which we do have a criteria. And if they're the right fit and vice versa, then we'll just continue to grow.
You know, it's I never get tired of the way the universe just brings people into my orbit or into this chair on the podcast at the right time, at a synchronistic time. You know, synchronicities and how people just sort of fit in. You go, that's what I was asking for. That's what I need. And then it just sort of all fits in. Now, let me explain why I said that. In the 6-star community, we work on and we explore all the foundations of what it means to be 6-star. And one of the pillars, the 9 pillars of 6-star, is collaboration. And we've just been unpacking what it means to be 6-star in collaboration. And let me share with you something that you should laugh, might have a bit of a chuckle about. Through these conversations we have, and it's different groups that go off, and it's funny how they kind of come to a similar outcome with these separate conversations, because we're all over the world, so we hold a couple of different sessions in a day for the different time zones. And at its core, collaboration on a 6-star level means that you approach it for the benefit of the collective and not for yourself. That's one of the core principles. And it's got to align with your purpose and a collective purpose, a collective vision. So you and the team coming up with those 3 words, and then ensuring that not only that is the philosophy, it's like the lifeblood of your organization. It's also the filter by which you make decisions. And that's exactly what we have identified as being a 6-star collaborative approach. It's about the collective. It's not about the individual.
Absolutely.
So, I'm listening to
you. It really is.
And I'm just like, I'm giggling to myself, basically. Sorry.
No, that's okay. It's even as you talk about synchronicities, and it's even how I actually even got to meet you in the first place. It was just incredible. From obviously knowing Joanne Brooks, and then I did have your video. I'll pop it up here too. And then, of course, when then I went on to speak to Andre.
Yes,
I was just
Indra.
trying to pronounce it, Endra. And he was talking to me about the 6 star. And I'm like, I've heard that before. And I actually swung behind me and I grabbed it out of my bookcase and I said, do you mean this? And he said, yes. He said, I'm one of the authors. And because I knew Joanne Brooks, spoke to him and he said, you need to speak to Aveline. And here we are today. But that's just an example of, I should say another example of the universe, how we all get brought together. So that was incredible for me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I love everything that you're doing. Now, tell me, would you say that the pivotal point of you being on this pathway to where you are today came when you tapped into what your why was?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Because that gave me the vision of where I actually wanted to take the business. And I think with that as well, just being so open-minded about it, it is like for like. Whatever you do put out there is what does come back. And as we were building and we all had the same mindset, it's sort of like, how do we keep this going? But as I said, we just keep attracting people, but and without having that why, and that I really, really love connecting people. As I said, whether it's for us or for somebody else, at the end of the day, if I've been able to help, I just can't explain the feeling. It just makes me feel really, really good. And the only way to keep it going as well is that, like even us at the moment, if we don't, which we are, but if we didn't do anything, our growth would have stopped. So we've now even going to the next level and investing in the processes, the software that can automate so much more for us. So with the team, you should be like, I should be able to see where they are when I say at all times as far as skills, experience, capacity. So when I am out there living my why, I know whose diaries to fill. I know who can do the work. And also too and that's where the eighth pillar of the business, the quality and systems, comes from, is because without businesses being able to do that, that's where they stop. And that's what affects the culture as well. So long way of answering yes to your question, but I still live my why every day.
I love that, Carmel. And it is so important. And the reason I ask that question is just for our listeners' benefit, just to remind people that we've got to go back to our why, our purpose, what lights us up, why we're here. And if we're not in congruency with that, then we're not on path. Things are hard. Whereas you're living and breathing it every day, and your path and what you've shared with me today is a living, breathing example of what happens when you are tapped into your why and you're feeling into that every day.
I am.
Yeah, it's so good. We're talking about 6 star. You've got the book, you've just shown it up on the screen, so it sits behind you on your shelf, which is great. What does 6 star
It
mean to
does.
you, Carmel?
A 6 star business means to me, points I've already touched on. Culture is first and foremost for me, a good team culture. It doesn't just happen. Because we are a HR firm, it doesn't mean that it's expected to happen. It's a really funny thing, as we always say, how we've been able to achieve everything we have is because we actually do what we teach. So what we go out into businesses and teach business owners and their teams, we actually do it. So as we say, it's quite a revolutionary idea when you put things into practice. They actually work. If you use the tools, they work. So having a great culture, it just doesn't happen. We work really, really hard on it. Going back to our overarching philosophy where everybody wins, that is made up of our values and vision of the business. So as I mentioned, there's as a lot of people want to come and play and join the team, but everything must align. If it doesn't align, we're just not the right fit, and that's okay. Okay, we've certainly got a lot of skill, a lot of experience on the team. So it's about having a great culture, vision. We work on our vision all the time. We actually have a strategy day tomorrow. We run our strategy days with the team first Friday of every second month. Revisit, what are we doing? Does it still look like this? Do we need to change it up? So we really spend and invest a lot of time. And then hence, like, to become that employer of choice. And to become an employer of choice is the hard work. And then to be recognised as, to have the accreditation of a great place to work. We've certainly reached that, not the end of the point, but we've certainly reached the goal, and we'll continue to strive to be a great place to work. So that's what I describe as a 6-star business: a great team, a great vision, and just great maintaining of it all.
Couldn't agree more. And I'm very excited for you, Carmel, in what lies ahead of you. What do you see as the ideal future for the Proven Group? What is it that you're looking at into the future?
Oh, it's crystal ball stuff, isn't it? So what am I looking at? I'm looking at, as I said, with practical professional development. We shorten that to PPD, and we use a lot of acronyms at TPG because there's so many long-winded words. PPD will branch off to be its own business in its own right, because it has become that big. At the moment, it's powered by the Proven Group, but as I said, it will branch off to be its own business. I've spoke about that we are already international, but I would actually like to, in particular in New Zealand, I would like to be able to set up some offices over there, and just to continue to grow the team, live our vision, and to really instill that collaborative, and as you said before, collective growth. Because what we always say is that there is so much work. There's so much work for everybody. So what I want to continue to do is to continue to grow the pie so that everybody gets a larger piece. Then you get more people on board, upgrade to a bigger vehicle. Maybe it's a rocket after a jet, not sure. And just shoot for the stars and just keep growing and being really, really good at what we're at. Just continue to be good at what we do and serving people.
Yeah. Being great. Because it sounds to me like you're actually great at what you do, and knowing you're just going to keep raising the bar.
That's exactly right. That's what I exactly like to do. I do. And so much so that I nearly forgot, but I'm going to just share this on the call, if I may, because this is a giveaway for anybody that's listening today. It's on our website. It's a book that I wrote. It's called Less Headaches, Happier Team, More Success. It's a top 10 challenges every business owner faces. And it's what they need to address to be able to lead and motivate and inspire their team. I didn't write the book to sell it. I'll never sell it. I wrote it as my way of giving back to the business community. It's written in a really fun way, even chapter 1 called Staff Drive Me Crazy. So that's the context it's written in. And yeah, as I said, it's available on our website at thepruvengroup.com.au. Jump on, order yourself a copy, have a read, and learn some tips and tricks. So I just probably wanted just to give something extra to the audience or the listeners today.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Carmel. Everyone, I'm sure, will hopefully take advantage of that, and we'll have the link in the show notes below on the podcast page as well. That's gold. Thank you. So that's 6-star. It's giving because you want to genuinely help the outcome of the greater good. other people and that collective. And that is 6-star in action. I've got a quirky question for you.
Thank you. Go
and
for
it. It's this. What is a consistent piece of feedback that you've received from customers about how they've experienced your service? So if you think about the different feedback you've had over time, what's been something that some people have said consistently or that you've heard consistently?
Probably they'll always thank us for our very unique approach. They will also, not only when I say thank us for our unique approach, but it's always thank you for becoming our friend. Thank you for, I'm just probably trying to word it as in when they say thank you for being our friend, especially if they sign up on the phone a friend, and then when they go to the retainer, because we're seen as like an external manager to them is what we are. And then after a while, we actually become a part of the team. And one of the biggest compliments we've probably received was on one particular client. We only just started working with them. They were that thankful for our insight, experience, and what we could see as outsiders is that they actually added us to their organisational chart of their organisation. so that's probably like something that really comes to mind. And acting as an external HR manager, external safety manager, external health and wellbeing manager, training manager, external careers manager, because there's a lot of career movement in businesses as well. We're able to wear all of those hats and literally become their phone a friend.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of the feedback we get.
Yeah. I love that. And you do come across as being my friend, right? I don't feel like I'm just talking to a successful businesswoman who's running this growing organization. You know, right from the moment I met you, Carmel, it was like I'd met a friend. And so that obviously is part of, you know, the way that you work, the way that you form these relationships and how you deliver the service. And that's how people feel, which is it's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's all about being more of that transformational space. We are all about people as opposed to just, there's so many businesses that are just so transactional. But I love the transformational stuff. It's all about transforming. That's what it's about.
Yeah. We're almost out of time, and I want to ask you one question that I like to ask my guests, and I'd like to leave our listeners with something from you. And so, is there a piece of gold, a tidbit, a little something you'd like to leave them with today?
Probably, I would like to leave the listeners with definitely start with your why, stick with your why. But before you can even do that, just know your why. And for those of you who haven't heard of Simon Sinek, he's the very first person that you should be starting with. And I know it can be said loosely sometimes, but don't let go of your vision. Keep chasing what you want and attract like-minded people. As I said before, if you have that positive mindset, and there is such a thing as, I used to believe in coincidences. I have stopped believing them in a long, long time ago, because there is such a thing as the universe and the synchronicities and the opportunities that come your way. You just really need to be in the now to see them. If you're not in the now, you won't see them, and that opportunity will pass you. And the last thing I'll say is that if you're continued to be told no, or if you're told no at any time, no is an acronym for next opportunity. That's what NO stands for. So just move on and just keep following your dream.
Oh, Carmel, that's so big, and there's so much in what you just said. I'm so grateful. Thank you. It's been an
Thank you.
absolute pleasure chatting with you today and learning more about you, the journey, what you're doing with the Proven Group, and thank you. Hats off to you. And I know that for our listeners, if anyone wants to get in contact with Carmel, she's always open to meeting and seeing how she can serve. And if you think that you might need help, then Carmel is available, aren't you? We'll have your contact details or the website details as well in the show notes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Evelyn. It's been great. I do love to share my story and I love to share and help people. So thank you very much for the opportunity and thank for the listeners for listening in.
You're welcome. You have a wonderful day, first day of winter, and may it be a sunny, warm one.
Absolutely. Thank you, Evelyn.
Thanks.